Hello and welcome to Climbing Daily. Now there's a very special film on the EpicTV website. It's called Through and Through and it follows the story of one of the UK's strongest climbers, Jim Pope. It's filmed and edited by the brilliant David Petts. So we got the two of them together to find out a little bit more about this project.
I didn't think I'd get to where I've got to today when I started climbing. So when I was pretty young, I wasn't that great at climbing. Like the first competition I entered, I came last, but that kind of didn't really faze me. I had no expectations.
He's come on so far, and this trip, the pinnacle of that really, sort of just showing how good he really is.
It's been pretty inspirational seeing Jim here in the cave, seeing it this last week or so transferred onto rock and seeing it in the results that he's had a little bit in competitions, some semi-finals and also on sighting like up to 8B+. He's definitely stepped it up a couple of gears.
Where will Jim go in the future? Obviously I think he's going to still do competitions, and I think that's not a major driving force for Jim, but I think he enjoys it. He's a rock climber through and through. I think he just fully comes alive when he's out on the rocks.
We started filming this time last year. Was the first time we went to the lakes, and Jim, originally the whole thing came up, it was before Quiff, and we were just supposed to go out on the peaks and just do some bouldering for the day. And then we got rained off, and we started recording this interview in my van, and then realised that there's this whole other story to it, and then basically it carried on from there for the entire year. So that's well, that's how it started anyway. There's not really an explanation as to why Jim was there. Just I think Jim worked with Jim in the past, and it, dynamic was good. I think it was good. You might disagree. I don't know.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, but the dynamic worked, so I figured, well, hey, why not try and do another project with Jim for a bit longer this time.
Initially I think we thought this might just be a small little 5-minute clip, and the initial video we submitted, which was just that little introduction scene up climbing in the Lake District. We used to come here on holiday in the summer and in the Easter and stay with my dad's aunt and uncle. Because I loved it so much here and I came up so often, I had some pretty good memory. Well, I had really good memories of my childhood up here, and I'm pretty fortunate to have been brought up the way I did and to have been able to come to places like this to develop a love for the outdoors, and considering I was from London. That was what it was originally all going to be, so yeah, I think it did kind of end up being something a lot bigger than that when we went to Norway and stuff, so yeah, it kind of grew quite a lot.
Because that first thing, it was a part one, and it turned out that it acted as a bit of a teaser, because by that point we shot the Lake District, and I was like, Jim was saying to me that, oh yeah, I think I might be going to Flatanger in August, and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to go. So then we kind of just tweaked it round and turned it into it's an introduction to Jim and what he's about, and we used that to then entice the second half of the film to come in basically. So it grew, from 5 minutes to the 21-minute epic that's now the Jim Pope Odyssey film.
Norway was a place I'd never come and climbed in before, and Gav had showed me photos and told me stories of trips he'd had when he came here, and I think obviously it's got a lot of hype online from Adam doing a lot of hard first ascents here, and it just being a place of a lot of hard routes, so I thought I'd come and give some a try.
Jim's story developed loads from the start of the project. So I always knew that the start was gonna encompass some kind of archive footage, because I knew that his dad, bless him, Nick, legend, had loads of archive footage of Jim when he was younger climbing. So at some comps, outside, but Jim's kind of known for starting climbing really young and being a bit of a trad shuffler in his youth days. So I knew that stuff existed, so I knew I kind of wanted to start there and kind of act this whole film as an intro piece to Jim, so then it kind of, you see him as an adult. That's why the whole first 2 minutes of the film you don't even see him until he flicks on a light in the basement. It's because I want you to know his backstory before you see him. And then the whole Norway section is you've travelled with Jim from when he was a young boy to a young man now, and then you see him climbing to what Gav says, to his pinnacle of his ability, of what you're more as a person more than a climber. I think, which I really, it definitely developed. It took some finding and some tweaking, but with Gaz and Gav coming to Norway, that really put a really good spin on it in the end. I wasn't expecting that to happen. That just kind of came together, and then just asking them in the interviews like certain questions about Jim and everything like that, and they just all just started reeling off. It was brilliant. So that just tied in by fluke, really.
So I guess those two helped a lot of the story, actually.
Yeah, they did, yeah. Well, yeah, because they always... thanks, Gaz. Because they always say, well, you always say that they were really important to your climbing, and they always say that you were really important to their climbing. Because Gav always tells the story about how you burned them off in a V8 in the castle. So he always says that. So then you had that whole bit about your childhood, and then you had them reanimating your childhood, but now. And I just think that was great.
Yeah.
That was very organic, that process.
As soon as I asked Gav and Gaz, they were psyched straight away. You know, I've climbed with them for such a long time, but it's not often that I get to go away with them, so it's been really fun just to like hang out with them again, especially as I've moved away from London. They've got so much experience, so they're always swapping beta or suggesting some things I could do differently, which is always really useful.
I think looking back on those old little clips, I remember quite a lot of it. A lot of it was here at the castle or at the crags in the Lake District where I used to climb. And it actually wasn't that long ago because I'm wearing my green castle competition squad t-shirt. So it probably was only six or 7 years ago, some of it, and then some of it was much older. But no, I think those memories kind of stayed with me. I definitely remember climbing up in the Lake District and stuff a lot. So. Yeah.
My dad and my great uncle, I'd just go out top roping with them. I was really young, so they'd just set up and I'd just climb. There was kind of no focus on technique or anything when I was that age. I was just going climbing.
I'm standing on nothing. You are actually standing on something, Jim. You're standing on air.
I think when I was younger, I was just climbing. I really enjoyed it, but it was kind of just something to do to fill time on holidays. It'd be an activity that I'd do alongside lots of other things. I did other sports or went walking, or swimming in rivers, that kind of thing. So I don't know whether I was passionate for it then, but I'd say then when I came back to London and started training regularly, climbing more and starting to do competitions, then I probably became more passionate about climbing, but I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't kind of had the exposure to it that I did when I was younger.
It took me a little while to get the ball rolling. The first few comps didn't go as well as I would have liked. I think the last 2 World Cups went pretty well.
I think for me the most enjoyable bit was going back climbing the Lake District. That was the first time I'd been back there since I was a kid, really, so it was nice to kind of, like I said in the film, go back and see the places that I used to climb at and realise there's more to go at than just what I was trying as a kid.
This is quite a remote part of the Lake District, but because it's the part that I've always come to, I feel like it's the part that I know the most, and it's the part that kind of I have the biggest connection with, but when I come back here it always feels quite special.
The editing process for me was ace.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Because we had from when we started in March to when I started cutting after Norway, had such a big period of time. And I was just rejigging and working through it, and then just realising I was like, wow, there's stuff in Norway, and revisiting that moment of all the stuff that we've done over the year. For me, it encapsulated it all perfectly within a 6 weeks time period of just being yeah, it's been a good year. Just the lakes, the cabin in the lakes, the snowing boulder shots, the freaking amazing lines in Norway, just all of it all came together. And I was like, whoa! And it was, that was my favourite bit, I think. Apart from it, obviously going into Kendall, because it's awesome, and that's why you should be watching it.
Shame self-promotion.
That's a promotion for you. The film was premiered at Kendall Mountain Film Festival in 2018. It was part of their official selection in the climbing section. So it was premiered there, which was like a really big honour for like me as a filmmaker, and it was great for Jim because it's kind of a little bit of a standpoint, you know. Nice little moment for us to share. So it got premiered there. So I really hope that you enjoyed the interview, and I really hope that you enjoyed the film for the same reasons that we had for making it. So yeah, take it easy. Did a peace sign, I don't know why. Cut.
The film is brilliant, so do go and check it out. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.